On this edition, I'm going to break down and predict the upcoming fight at UFC 149 between Tim Boetsch and Hector Lombard, the newcomer in the UFC. Now, this should be a very exciting fight. You got two guys who like to brawl, who have good ground games, and like to brawl in the stand-up department with incredible power. This fight will be in the middleweight division. Now, what happened was obviously Hector Lombard was supposed to face Brian Stann. Brian Stann got hurt, and obviously Tim Boetsch was supposed to fight Michael Bisping, who got hurt. So these two will end up fighting at UFC 149, and this fight will deliver. It could be over very quickly, or this one could go the distance. Actually, no, I highly doubt it goes the distance. Some guy's going to get finished in this fight, and it will be very exciting. Definitely a fight of the night, at least possibility of being fight of the night. Now, what I'm going to do in this video, I'm just going to break down both fighters. I'm going to do my predictions. So I'll start with Tim Boetsch. Now, Tim Boetsch obviously started in the light heavyweight division, the UFC. He dropped down. He's now fighting at middleweight. The guy's undefeated in the middleweight division. And he's faced a couple of good fighters, but this is, I want to say this is a big up in the talent level, at least fighting at middleweight. This is a very big challenge. Obviously, Yushin Okami was a top contender in the middleweight division, but Hector Lombard has a lot of hype surrounding him coming into the UFC. So, obviously, Tim Boetsch, his skill set, he wrestled in both high school and in college. He also is a Jeet Kune Do practitioner and also does judo as well. So, in his striking game, he is, I don't want to say he's one of the faster strikers, but he's a relentless fighter in the stand-up department. He's very aggressive, very similar to Lombard, but he lacks the speed. He's not so much explosive and very quick with his strikes, but he's relentless. And he brings forward, he has, if he gets close enough, he's going to try and close the distance with his, I don't want to say he throws meat hooks, but he throws big hooks. He has a good 1-2. He presses forward, and if you get close enough, he's going to grab you, get you in the clinch. He's going to throw knees. He throws knees very effectively, and to check his range, he throws very good kicks as well. And Boetsch has really good power. Boetsch has 7 knockouts on his resume, and he has the ability to finish fights both standing up and on the ground. Absolutely dominant force in the power department. He has a very good chin. We saw what Okami did to him, and he was able to take the punches. However, I mean, he likes to dictate the pace, but if someone is to put him out of the comfort zone and start dictating the pace over him, that's the biggest question in this fight. And also in regards to Boesch's ground game with a judo background and also with a wrestling background, he was a standout high school wrestler. He wrestled at Lock Haven University and college. A very skilled wrestler. He's got a very good frame, stocky. He definitely has the size advantage, especially against a specimen like Hector Lombard, a very massive guy. But Boetsch dropping down from light heavyweight to middleweight, he makes the cut, has a good weight cut, and he's a big guy. He's a very big force. And he's not an easy guy to get down to the ground. He could also slam, he could do a double, he could single, he could slam down, especially with the judo background. And he can submit guys on the ground. Not the biggest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, but he is able to finish fights. He does have 5 submissions on his resume. And he's possible. Is he going to submit a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu like Hector Lombard? I don't see that happening, but you know, anything's possible. So some pros and cons for Tim Boetsch. Pros are definitely the fact that he has a longer reach in this fight. He does have a wrestling advantage. Obviously, Lombard does not wrestle. He does have a good judo background, but he's not a wrestler. Also, Boetsch's ability, his size, he has a very big size, and especially against a fighter like Lombard, who's a big guy, Boetsch will be the bigger fighter in this fight. And I also want to say his experience. Not so much, I know Lombard has more fights, but his experience in the UFC. I think that's a factor, is that Boetsch has, when he was fighting light heavyweight, he fought a list of fighters that were very skilled. The Phil Davises, the Hamels. He's fought good fighters. That's not taking credit away from Lombard, but Lombard hasn't faced the UFC caliber that Boetsch has. Maybe not middleweight, but he's not faced the caliber. Cons for Boetsch. His chin's definitely questionable. He also doesn't have the submission advantage in this fight. He has been submitted before. He's been submitted by Phil Davis. And also in regards to he does not have the striking, the pure striking that Hector Lombard has. Now, Boetsch is a good striker, but he's not at the striking that Hector Lombard possesses. So, where I see Boetsch being successful in this fight, Boetsch could be successful. He could try and turn this into a wrestling match. He's got to be aware of the submission. He could keep this one staying. He could try and finish Lombard, but that's a tall task. He could try and get this one to a decision, or he could very well knock out Lombard, finish him on via ground and pound. He could try and turn this one into a wrestling match. So he could be successful anywhere, but I mean, personally, I think try and turn it into a wrestling match and avoid the submission from Lombard. Put the guy on his back if he can. So Hector Lombard. Hector Lombard has incredible hype surrounding this guy. He's on an impressive win streak. He is an absolute specimen, incredible force. The guy finishes fights, just like Boetsch, but this guy's very experienced, Lombard. Over 35 mixed martial arts fights, and only lost 2 fights, which is absolutely impressive, and he's obviously coming over to the UFC, and we'll see where his skills match up, and this is a very good fight for him to start out in the UFC. So a little bit about Lombard. Lombard's a very well-balanced mixed martial artist. He has boxing and Muay Thai in his stand-up department. He's an Olympic-level judo practitioner, obviously represented Cuba in the Olympics, and also is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Very, very skilled guy, and athletically, he's explosive. He is so fast. He's a physical specimen, really. The guy is impressive. So in the stand-up department with his Muay Thai and his boxing, Lombard likes to dictate the pace. He likes to turn fights into brawls. He possesses a very good chin. The guy's never been finished before on the ground or in standing up. He likes to press forward. He has a very good 1-2. He's a southpaw. He does have a reach disadvantage in this fight, but his explosiveness and his speed and athleticism will make up for it in this fight. He presses forward. He dictates the pace. He puts people out of their comfort zone. He presses forward. He presses forward. He presses forward. Throws the 1-2, and then when he gets close enough, he's going to throw everything he has at you, whether it's knees, whether it's kicks, whether it's the punches. He throws so many strikes, and these strikes have bad intentions all over them. The guy has some serious, serious power. He has 17 knockouts on his resume. The guy's a finisher, flat out in the stand department. And he also, if he gets you in the clinch, he could throw knees, could throw strikes. And then if he gets close enough, with his judo background, I mean, he can toss guys. He could literally slam guys down, and he does it in the blink of an eye. It has a lot to do with the speed and athleticism. He throws guys around, tosses them around like rag dolls. And in the ground department, he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He can fight well off his back. He has a very good guard. He also can fight well in the dominant position. He has 7 submissions on his resume. It's very impressive. And he could also, in the ground and pound department, if he gets you down to the ground, gets you rocked, he can beat you down as well with his very quick and powerful hands, elbows, you name it. He could throw anything. So some pros and cons for Hector Lombard. Pros are definitely he's the better pure striker in this fight. He has a lot more speed and athleticism than Boetsch. And also is that he has the better chin. He's never been finished before. His losses have all come by decision. He is not an easy guy to put away. Lombard's going to keep coming after you. And also, I'd say his experience. I know I said Boetsch had more experience in the UFC, but I'd say that Lombard has more fights. Much more experience. He's fought more than Boetsch. He has much more experience in mixed martial arts. And also is just his speed and athleticism. So some cons for Hector Lombard, and there are very few because he is such a skilled fighter. Cons is definitely wrestling. He may be a judo practitioner, but Boetsch has the wrestling advantage in this fight. Reach is a disadvantage as well. And also, this is a step up in talent. I'm not saying Boetsch is the best fighter in the middleweight division, but this is a step up in talent for Lombard. Lombard's been fighting in other promotions, and Boetsch is a step up in talent for Hector Lombard. And where I see Hector Lombard being successful in this fight, he could be successful anywhere. He could stand up, he could test that chin of Boetsch, or he could get this down to the ground, slam him down, beat him up, try and finish this fight by knockout, or try and win this fight by submission. So where my prediction lies in this fight, and I think Boetsch is a good fighter in the middleweight division, and I think I'm not 100% behind the hype of Hector Lombard. I'd like to see what he could do in the UFC, but stacking this one up stylistically and everything else, I think this one comes down to chin. These guys are going to slug. This is going to be a slugfest. We're going to see ground. I think the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu advantage and the judo with Lombard's short, stocky frame. Even though Boetsch is the bigger guy, I think Lombard's technique in his judo. I think this could get down the ground, but I don't see Boetsch being able to keep Lombard down the ground. What it comes down to, I think it's still chin. And when it comes down to chin is that Lombard is not easy to put away. Boetsch may be a step up in talent. I see Boetsch landing a couple of strikes, but I see Lombard dictating the pace in this fight. Boetsch will land his strikes, but I see Hector Lombard pressing the pace. He's going to rock Tim Boetsch. If Yushin Okami really laid the foundation for this, but he couldn't put away Boetsch. I think Lombard is going to be relentless. He's going to throw the strikes. He's going to throw volume in this strike, and he's going to find a way to finish Tim Boetsch. He's going to win this fight either via TKO or knockout. And Hector Lombard will have one win in the UFC and move one step closer to maybe getting an instant title shot or being in a top contender fight. So I'll take Hector Lombard defeating Tim Boetsch by knockout or TKO at UFC 149. And that's what I have for this edition. It's Kyle Delaney signing off. I'm out of here.